Hi, it's Kathy from Raven Vintage. Welcome back to my craft room. Come on in. I saved everybody a spot. I am excited to be crafting with you today. This is our longer video. This will be a Saturday type video with 2, possibly 3 projects. We'll see how we do. And I just want to say hello to everyone. Thank you for your comments and thank you for your tips, and thank you for sharing this series with your friends. This is great. So I have one little scrap storage tip for you. Here's something I like to do. So when you're working with a particular paper pad and you have leftovers from a project, here's something I like to do. Some of you have seen this before from me. I like to put an envelope and just staple it inside the cover with the staple the flap and leave the envelope open, and then all the smaller pieces can get tucked in the envelope. This one will, yep, it'll fit. And then the larger pieces simply get tucked underneath, right up tight there like that, so they don't move. And then you simply close your paper pad, and then those scraps that go with this paper pad are together. They're not flying around, and you didn't have to go store them in another bin and then go looking for them later when you go back to using this pad. That's just one way I like to keep the smaller scraps from a paper pad all in one spot. So that's my tip of the day for storage. We are on project number 45. We're going to do some collage cards. So I mentioned yesterday to get out your postcards, your playing cards, anything that resembles a card. When we talk about journaling cards, a journaling card doesn't have to be a rectangle shape. It typically is, but it doesn't have to be. Like in my mind, it could be a circle, it could be a square, it could be something like this, where you write on the back like that, you write on the back. This is just simply ephemera printed onto cardstock. So it's ready to go as a journaling card. Tuck it in a pocket, tuck it in a belly band, layer it in a pocket, whatever you like. But if we are going to take some of our not so pretty things and collage on them to turn them into a journaling card, we could use all kinds of things. So bingo cards, do I have a journal post? Here, let's see. Things that people can write on, basically, and that can be tucked away. So let's see here. So a bingo card. Obviously, I love using authentic old bingo cards in my journals. These guest checks, they're a little bit thick. I kind of like those as journaling cards. It's not technically a card, I guess, but I do like using those in my journals. And then here's like an old euchre scorecard. Just added a little topper to it, and here I just simply used a scrapbook paper and rounded the corners, inked it, and then that's a journaling card tucked into a pocket. So here's some authentic vintage thicker card stock. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways to do journaling cards. It just basically means something you can write on. So don't get hung up on the size. There are typical sizes, like an artist trading card is a 2x3. A postcard is typically a 4x6 or a 5x3. We do have some standard sizes, but remember, everything goes in junk journaling. It doesn't matter. You can make up your own. Here's something I picked up thrifting. So for 75 cents. So if you get one of the cards like this, they're kind of shiny, so they are not great to write on, number one. They're also not great for gluing things to. However, if you get yourself a sanding block, you can get them at the dollar store, the hardware store, Amazon, wherever. A sanding block like this. I'll do one on top of paper to show you, so you can see how we get rid of that shine. And this works so quick, so easy. You just want to scuff them up and get rid of that gloss. So see the difference between where I've sanded and where I haven't? Now this is still pretty slick, pretty smooth, but it will have enough of a grainy texture or surface now to be able to glue on and also to write on, and now also it looks vintage. So this I could write on now because most of that shiny stuff is removed. Do the other side as well so we can glue on it. Now you might think to yourself, why bother? Well, it's a really nice thickness of a card. It already has beautifully rounded corners, and they're the perfect size, I think, for a journaling card. So yes, I think these are worth it. So keep your eyes open at the thrift stores for those jumbo playing cards. Of course, you could use a postcard, and a lot of postcards are also shiny like that. So again, that sanding block is good for that. So that is a good tool to have in your craft room. It's also great to have the sanding block to sand edges of paper. Of sanding wood, why wouldn't we sand paper? So it's great to get those nice soft edges too, to have those sanding blocks around. There, you don't have to have a huge sanding block like that. You can just get the papers or the little, there's a bunch of different sanding options you can get. I just like the sanding blocks because they're cheap to buy. And you could use index cards, or you could cut up scrapbook paper. So this is thicker. This is from a paper pad. It's just kind of thick. So we will do one of those, and then we'll do, oh, I don't know. Let's do something smaller. Let's do something this. Let's start with this one. And we're going to do a collage where we are going to do something with the intention of later on adding a sentiment to it. So I grabbed these three from my scrap bin here. They had water damage on them, so I thought those would be good ones to use. These are from my sunflower kit. I'm going to save this and this. I'm going to use some of these paper book page for gluing. There's my thing. All right, so let's start with this. Now I'm going to grab a ruler. I love the blue and yellow combination, so I'm going to make sure I get some blues and some yellow. So let's just glue some strips here. Let's start with blue on the outside. Just using a smaller glue stick today for control because we're working with smaller pieces. Now you can do, well, we'll do like a block style collage on the next one. Let me see here. Do a strip. And then of course we'll trim that off after. Doesn't quite get to my edge. And then we'll alternate. We'll do some sort of a yellow up here. Just thinking of what's going to be showing on the outside when we use this to add our sentiment to. Somebody mentioned before I start the projects, could I list our materials and what we're going to need, or what size of paper, weight of paper, for example. I'm going to overlap a bit. That's as long as you have your scraps beside you and your basics. Like we're in the collage and masterboard section right now. So typically with collage, I would use thinner papers, but that's not to say you shouldn't also have this thicker paper handy. But my scrap bin, I guess, is a mix of all kinds of paper weights and thicknesses. So I don't really think about it. So I apologize for not doing that, but that is a good idea. But as long as you have your, and I think the other reason I don't think of it is because the way I have my craft room organized, everything's in zones. So everything's really handy for me of what I know I'm going to need. So like my circle punch and my corner rounder in the drawer right here, right underneath me. My ink, everything right here. My stapler, everything's right here. I also have my tool caddy that I use. So most everything's really close by, and I guess I just don't think about telling you what to grab because I just assume we'll have what we need handy. But I will try if there's going to be something odd. But then again, there's something I want to do on the next one, but I don't want to give it away yet, so I'm not going to tell you until we're there. Till we get there. Okay, so I have done a variety of widths, but I've alternated my colors for contrast. And then we'll just trim off the edges. Good start. This is a very easy way to collage and use up some of these papers that, like I said, this one got water damage on it, so might as well use it for something. Okay, so this is what I'm starting with. So I have a little bit of a lift there, so let's fix that right here. And a glue bump there. Okay, that looks good now. Now, if I wanted to do a sentiment on here, where'd that page go? Right here. Size-wise, let me see. Well, let's just start out with the size it is, and then we can tear it down smaller if we need to. Okay, so on its own, it's not bad, but this color here is pretty similar to those, so I would like a little bit more contrast. So I think I would like to add something in behind that. This is kind of pretty with the blue and the burr. Actually, I quite like this. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but this has really thin blue stripes and a brown stripe, so that's a really good match, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this where I like a matching corner to corner, and I like this size of a margin around it. Find my ruler. Where'd you go, darling? Here you are. I think that's straight, and then let's go that way. And same thing about here. I think that's pretty good for size. So here's the part that I talk about that I just have a hard time covering things up, but I have to remember that these are scraps and it's okay. That could be trimmed up. I could have used my sanding block for that. Probably would look much better inked up too, wouldn't it? Already got glue on it, but it's okay. Okay, and then we'll just put this on. That looks good. So when I think of a journaling card, you can most definitely decorate these till the cows come home, but I think they're going to be, think of where they're going to go. They're going to get tucked into, a pocket, likely. Just going to make these a little bit smaller. I'm just doing this by eye. I'm not going to measure, of course. Okay, so I have this. I'm just going to simply put it in the middle. But now we have room on our journal card that we collaged to add a little something something. So you could add a little person. You could add a butterfly, would be nice. Just a second. Okay, so that one is good for the book. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Now you can round your corners, leave it square. Let's round our corners. Don't have to, but you can leave it like that. But let's just maybe do the middle one. I find when we round our corners, things slide in and out of the pockets a little easier. Do you find that too? There we go. Cute, cute little journaling card made of scrap paper. So I've just done strips in different widths, but I've got the alternating color. This kind of matches some of the background, pulling out the oranges and nice. There's a little bit of gold in there too. So very pretty. I like it. And this happens to have a little bit of blue stripe, which that's great. It's picking up the blue there from my kit. This is scrapbook paper, and this sunflowers. Well, that's one of my kits. It's a vertical kit. I don't have that many vertical kits. I guess I'll use these and this. What I have left. And this. And a little bit of book page. And we had a little bit of music sheet here. Okay, here is something I would do. And this is how I take the guesswork out of it. I'm going to do things in threes. So I'm going to find 3 yellow pieces. So I have 3 yellows. And then I don't want any characters in my collage, any people or plants or anything. Or I'm sorry, people or animals. And then let's do 3 of these with a little bit of the turquoise on it. And then I'm going to do 3 music notes, 3 of those, and then 3 book pages. Okay, so I don't know if there's a proper term for this. I just call it a block style. I don't know if that's even a thing. That's just what Kathy calls it. But if I say that, maybe you'll remember. Okay, and now I'm just going to do 3s. So again, we just want to be odd about it. We don't want to be matchy-matchy across from each other. We want to be, we're balancing the weight. So if you were to put that on a scale, it's balanced this way. And if you look across here, it's got the same amount as it does across here. The top half and the bottom half as far as the way it's weighted or laid down. So just don't have to be exact or anything. But let's just start with 3 of these. And I don't want them matchy-matchy, so I want them in different locations, but opposite the page from each other, or each side. Yellow. I want a lot of the yellow to show. I think I'll turn it that way. And here, so not quite right. Oh, this one was in the bottom, wasn't it? Let's do that. And that one's at the bottom. Okay, now let's move on to a neutral, let's say. Let's use the music sheets. So does that one fit right there perfectly? It's good. Make sure everybody's covered. Now that might be a little too much coverage, so I think I'll just tear that one back a little bit. I don't need it to be the same height as this guy. I would like it to be a different size. There we go. Like this site and that site. Side. Itch. First day with my new mouth. Okay. There we go. 1. Oh, I had 4 of these out. Maybe that wasn't what I meant to do. But let's go here. Not overthinking it, overlapping a little, not a lot with this one. And then 3, and then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to turn it a different direction. But we still have the music notes. Okay. Beautiful. Now let's use our blue. Okay, so this one's a little more narrow, so let's use him right there. And again, I want it to be exactly the same height. That. There's one blue. Here's blue number 2. So if I use him down here, where can I use the other one? Kind of centered like that, maybe. All right, so you're a little bit big. I'll go right there. Now, if I was balancing the visual weight with this, this feels like it wants to be over here, but I've already done something there, but that's okay. I can do this. Right? I can go on right on top of it because it's a collage. And that's another reason why we're using thin paper. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to our book page. Let's see here. Maybe these guys. How about these guys? If I do one, just do a little layout first and see how it's going to look. And then 3. And then I'll want something in between. So I could do book page there, and I can add book page somewhere else. So I like this. A little bit long. In the corner. Make this a little thinner. Oops. Like so. Yep. Now remember, we're doing this one intentionally, and we have to remember it's not going to be covered up. So I'm ripping as I go so that everybody gets a little bit of daylight here. And then this one, I'll just do like that. And then so that nobody else is touching each other that's the same, we're going to bring book pages in to save the day. So we'll do something a little bit smaller, perhaps like that. Although I really want to try to keep this blocky if I can. There we go. And then book page down here is going to be kind of big. That's okay. And then I have a third book page to use. So where would you use it? Now that everything is actually covered, but where would you put that book page? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit of it up here. I'm going to cover up these two side by side, like that. These two are just a little too close for comfort for me. I can come back a little bit on this one. A little better. Okay. All right, now let's trim this up and get rid of all of this. So trim around the card. Okay, and then I am going to leave this one squared like a postcard. Here's the other thing I wanted to suggest is a stencil. And then some ink. So I have, black is always nice on top of everything. Also, we could do a nice dark blue here. Well, I have this one, it's called Broken China, but there's also Faded Jeans, and there's a few. This is a little more turquoisey, but let's give this a try. We'll just, so this, we're not going to be, remember, we're not adding anything to it. It's just going to be the collage, but we can certainly add some more interest to it with inking. You can also get out your stamps, like your script stamps, but although there is book page on here, so I wouldn't necessarily do script. I might do like a, here's where you could add a bunny or a bird or a flower. Let's see what that looks like. Isn't that pretty? So I like that little added bit with the inking with the stencil. It's just enough to kind of pull everything together. We have two kind of coordinating collage journal cards. Okay, let's move on. The next one, it looks like maybe we'll only get 2 projects done today, but the next one is a layered paper panel. Now, the reason I wanted to mention this is sometimes we have really pretty papers left, like odd bits. I'm like, oh, I bet I could use that somewhere because you've torn the bottom off. Or I really love this piece here and I want to use it somewhere. I love this. So this is where these paper panels come in. You can make them into flips if you want, like a little notepad. But I just like the idea of a decorative piece, just a finishing piece that we're just going to add to a page just for decor. You could turn it into a belly band or anything, but basically it's just to highlight some of these really nice pieces we had that we wanted to keep at some point in our journals. So remember I said the wallpaper borders were really nice to have on hand for these types of things. So this is really nice when you have something and you're looking for something that will contrast it nicely. And we're just going to do strips. That's all we're going to do. So a paper panel to me, and you can build up your layers. So let me grab my little ruler. This is like one of the easiest things, but it's like, you know how sometimes you just have that one little strip of paper and you're like, what am I going to use that for? But it's so pretty and I want to use it, but I don't know where I'll ever use it. So it's just nice to have these kinds of things. Like this maybe. I do like that. I do like the greens on either side of that one. What's this one? Maybe this is too busy. Maybe we need something solid first and then some color. Maybe the blue. I don't mind the blue. And it doesn't all have to be the same size. What about a pattern? These guys. Oops. What's this one? I like these colors right here, but not right beside it, but I do really like those. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll get on my longer ruler. Where did it get to? Oh, it's right here. I'm just going to tear from here to here. So that's just a little too busy beside it. So now it needs something to frame it. There, that's perfect. Okay, so then what I'll do with this, I'll just make myself a little border like that. So I know what size. So these paper panels are when you have one little strip of paper that you just, maybe it's a person, maybe it's, who knows what it is, but it's just that one little thing that you just love and you want to use it somehow, some way. Okay, there, this I like a lot. Okay, so I'm going to glue it where I want it to stay. That, I'll get rid of that white edge, don't worry. And then I want to glue this. I should probably ink it first. And maybe it doesn't have straight lines. Maybe it's a torn out piece, so it's got ripped edges, which would be even also cool on a paper panel. So these are just, well, I've called them panels because I think of them as strips, because quite often it's something, and it could be smaller. It could be something smaller too, but just to do this little base idea. And the reason is we just don't want it to, like, I love this font right here. We just want to use it, but it doesn't really have a purpose, or it's a weird shape, or so we're just going to use it as decor. It doesn't have to have a function. It's okay if it doesn't have a function. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. All right, like that. Okay, so now let's get this trimmed up, and we will have a paper panel that can be added to our journal, just simply to juice up a page, a boring page, or perhaps you have a page you added as into your signatures and it's too busy and you want to break it up. There, this paper panel, just like that. Simple paper panel. Doesn't do anything, it's just decorative. Okay, it's just decorative. So let's see here. Let me find my journal. Okay, so this is number 46. So all this is going to do is just be a decorative panel. So now if you make a bunch of these panels, you know that you can either just place them in your book like this, you can put them over here for a side tuck, or you could make them into a belly band. Okay, so it's just, I'm just going to glue this one down, but it could be put into your book however you like. But just make a bunch of paper panels. There's something very satisfying about just sitting and tearing with a ruler. So if you just have some papers and you just want to start tearing strips, and then just do what I did, just kind of audition the pieces and see what looks good. Here I've got a couple busy patterns, but because the contrast of colors is enough, it just kind of works. I like that. So I was able to save this pretty rose and this font, and I love it, and it just looks pretty in the journal. But like I said, it could be purposeful. You could make it into a belly band or a tuck. So that is a panel. Oh, and here I made, for number 45, I added a belly band, just nothing fancy. Oh, maybe that won't work. Maybe it's too big. Oh, I was hoping to have a card I could put in here and here for, that's okay. I'll just do that. It doesn't matter. Just ignore my belly band. So I really could. I could just sit down in an evening and just keep ripping strips of paper and then matching up the oddest things for these paper panels. It can be so much fun. Like ripping paper is so much fun. So here I have a couple. I've just taken, so I had this gal, and I wanted to find something coordinating. So the back piece is easy to match with your colors, and then you just need some sort of contrast in between. So I picked this dark one here for her. So here's what I would do. This is the height I'm working with, basically, is her, but here's my first piece. So, and I know that that one's probably, yeah, that's a good height for my journal. It's exactly the height of my journal. And if I need to trim it down, I can. So let's just put a strip of glue up the center here, a couple strips of glue. Add our next piece. Now you can make these framed too, where there's a margin at the top as well. I'm just going to do the full length like that. And then add her. The middle here, and then center her where I want her on here. Looks good. Like so quick, right, to put these together, and to have a stash of them is just, well, it's just delightful, let's just say. And we've got some pieces for our scrap bin, and this one I probably won't keep. It's a little small one. Probably get rid of that. There's a panel. done. And then here was another one. So this has white bits on it, so I would like to get rid of those. Well, that's my decided height, just right there. Okay, so I have this busy background. I have blue. It's a little bit, and like I said, you could ink your edges and all the things. Take the time to do that. Probably look a lot nicer. Well, here, let's try one with it where it's framed a bit. So I would come in about like, oops, that's not straight. What else is new? Kathy doesn't cut straight lines. Like that. So you've got like the frame all the way around. This is also a fun way to do this. You can use scrapbook paper, thick paper, thin paper, whatever you like. That's another great scrap piece. That's about perfect. And then some glue for her. These are very fun to make. Did I say that? Probably about 10 times. Can you tell I enjoy it? I love doing paper panels. And like I said, you can use them as a tuck or a belly band. You can just add them as a decorative piece and glue them straight down into your journal like that. So pretty. And then of course also comes the part of matching them to the right paper. Now look at how pretty that is across from here. If I were to do that as a side, like a tuck pocket there, wouldn't that be pretty if I glued the 3 sides, or a belly band even? How nice. Could do it on the same page too. These colors just look nice. This gal bringing in the brown or that plum color. How nice are they just on a shorter page like that? Could extend your page with this flip as well. Really nice on the background. It gives another layer yet, but it's the rule of 3s, right? That's just so nice. There, how nice would she be there on this flip out? Like that. Gorgeous. I love paper panels. I love paper. Oh, this is a nice color too. Look how nice that looks next to the atlas page. So pretty. So yes, these are fun to make. The tearing with the ruler is just a hoot, an absolute ball. I have so much fun doing that. But yes, these are one of my favorite things to make, so they had to go in the 100 ways list. I don't know if somebody calls them something else. I just call them paper panels. I don't know what else to call them, but that's what I like doing with them. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I don't think we have time to do the next project. It's just, it's the mixed media one. Mixed media is not my area of expertise, so that's just going to take a little extra thought, a little extra effort on my part to film that one. So we will do our best, and we'll do that one tomorrow, and we'll keep it separate. So just 2 projects today. Have a great day, everybody, or evening, or whenever you're watching this. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right then, bye.